Uncle Iroh is one of the best characters in the Avatar universe, and that's not controversial to say at all. Everyone loves this guy. Some of the most impactful quotes to my life come from an old man in a kid's show.
I don't want to make a life here.
Life happens wherever you are, whether you make it or not.
But sometimes instead of dropping complete bangers, he just says nothing, and it's beautiful. His introduction is fantastic. Both the live-action movie and the Netflix adaptation make the mistake of having Iroh be too wise. He's super wordy and intense and goes in on this immediate lecture towards Zuko.
We find the Avatar and you're able to defeat him. A mission your father believed to be impossible. And so your return home may be unexpected.
And yes, Iroh is intense, especially towards his nephew, but having him be that way right from the get-go just doesn't work. There's nothing human about him. He doesn't really have a personality. He's just this smarty pants ripping into a literal teenager. I think it takes away a lot of his wisdom because, helping people is not just what you say, but how and when you say it. And live adaptations have to be more rigid and serious. Even in a fantasy world, the cartoony sort of nature just doesn't translate well to actual people. That's how you get season 1 Jess.
I'm a pretty weird chick, and anyone that's ever lived with me could attest to that, but...
Guilty.
But no one is that weird all the time.
No.
But taking Iroh's humor out entirely and making him just kind of this old, burdened guy, it sucks. It misses the point. In the original, the first thing we see from Iroh is kind of this no-nonsense mentality. He tells Zuko exactly what he thinks, Zuko disagrees, and then he shuts up. The first couple interactions are just him saying what he thinks, Zuko not hearing it, and him leaving it at that. He doesn't persist with some weird foreshadowing or analogies or anything. It's just over.
Please sit. Why don't you enjoy a cup of calming jasmine tea?
I don't need any calming tea! I need to capture the Avatar!
And the last thing we see from Iroh in the pilot is iconic.
You will teach me the advanced set!
Very well. But first, I must finish my roast duck.
This is funny, sure, and it definitely was funny to me as a kid, but it's also wiser and more clever than anything they could have possibly written for him. We know these characters for maybe 5 minutes of screen time at this point, and it's already so clear how observant Iroh is, how well he understands his nephew. Zuko is a hothead, and he obviously doesn't really care too much what his uncle has to say, so coming at him with some, maybe you shouldn't find the Avatar bullshit, it doesn't make any sense. It's not a wise thing to say. So rather than impart explicit wisdom or try to change his nephew, he's just kind of a jackass. Iroh was literally just talking about Zuko being too impatient, Zuko needing more information without really understanding the fundamentals. And instead of hounding him, instead of being, just a dick to him, he is kind of a dick, but in a more sarcastic way. He's just eating duck. Rather than speaking to Zuko, someone who clearly isn't ready or able to understand what he's saying, Iroh forces him to understand it, all while being, just a little bit of a prick. And that's such a strong introduction because it gives you an understanding of Zuko, but mainly of Iroh and his ability to give people what they need. We see that all the time in this show, that Iroh knows what to say, when to say it. And it's not just that he's super wise or always just delivering, bullshit to people. It's that he's actually delivering what they need. Zuko doesn't need a lecture. He's not going to benefit from that, so he doesn't get one. Instead, he gets put in a position where he has to listen. Iroh has knowledge that he needs, and Iroh can withhold it from him and force him to be patient. It's just so much better than him just kind of being like a smartass. It's kind of a baby with the bathwater situation. Live adaptations need to be more serious. Yes, but what made Iroh Iroh is not just that he was a comedic relief character, but it's that humor and his way of doing things was actually a part of his wisdom. You can't just get rid of that. Would his grief or his anger or his complexity be as compelling as it is without the way that he navigated it? In an attempt to make him more wise, the live adaptation creators stripped away the very personality trait that deeply demonstrated that wisdom. In the original, the way Iroh is introduced says so much about his character, and he doesn't say hardly anything at all.